Let's go! Batter up! We're taking the afternoon off. It's a beautiful day for a ball game, today. The fans are out to get a ticket or two. From Walla Walla, Washington to Kalamazoo. It's a beautiful day for a home run, but even a triple's okay. We're gonna cheer and boo and raise a hullabaloo at the ball game today.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Thursday, July the 3rd. Happy 4th of July weekend. I am off. I have been off since Wednesday, so today's Thursday. Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'll be off Saturday and Sunday. Looking forward to a break from work. I think we all could use a break from work. I just came home from my local card store. In this case, my local card store is South Bay Sports Cards out in Lomita, California. And it's really a bummer when you come home empty-handed. I looked through several boxes of commons, if you want to call them commons. There were star cards in there too, but I looked through tons of boxes of cards, and it's cards are in numerical order, and you're sitting there going, okay, I need card number 44, and here you are, 40, 41, 42, 43, 45. I need card number 150. Here's 145, 146. He's got 20 148s, 149, then he skips to 152. And that was the story I faced today in looking for cards from 1961. While I did find a Whitey Ford card and a Bob Gibson card, they were both off-centered, and that was a little too off-centered for me. I'm also still on the hunt for... I saw a Mickey Mantle World Series card from 1961 and a Hank Aaron MVP card, which I feel I can find cheaper online. So I didn't make any deals today, and that's okay. That's really okay. Card collecting has been a little slow. I am going to show you some of my latest pickups, but you guys know I've been focusing on the 1961 set, and I'm getting near the end, and once you get near the end, it's a lot harder to find cards, or not harder to find cards, harder to find cards at the prices you're willing to pay. I could buy I could finish the 61 set today, but I don't want to raid my bank account either. So, plus those cards are all out there. Everybody has these cards, so it's not like they're rare or anything like that. But I wanted to talk to you today about, I hear some of the term, and I'm going to use this in a different way. The term quality versus quantity. I'm going to change it for me as a collector who's been collecting since he was 8 years old. Quantity versus quality versus quantity. And I'll bring it up. And if you guys watch me enough, you might have heard me talk about these type of things. But like I said, I've been collecting since 1973, since I was 8 years old. When we were kids, I would say from the time I was 8 years old to the time I was about 15, somewhere around when I turned 15 or 16, I stopped collecting for the very first time. When we were younger, we really didn't care about quality. We just wanted the card. I've mentioned I had an extremely beat up 1968 Topps Rod Carew card. Like I said, it didn't matter. I just wanted the card. So when I was at a card show or I was at a card store, if I needed the card, that's all that mattered. It didn't matter that it was nice, or that the corners were nice, or that it was centered, or that the registration was fine. We didn't talk about those things. As kids, we might have said something about the corners. The corners were talked about the most. Maybe the off-centeredness was discussed next. Other than that, no one ever talked about registration, anything like that. And then back then, remind you, there was no PSA when I was a kid. So there was no such thing as grading. We were just concerned with the card. If I had a case in point, back then, a trade, when you made a trade, and I'll use for an example a 1976 Topps Johnny Bench. I had two of them. I mean, I probably had a few of them, but I had two of them. If I could trade my duplicate Johnny Bench for two or three, what would be called today common cards, I would do it in a heartbeat. Because back then we just wanted cards. We weren't concerned about the quality, the grade, who the player was. I mean, sure, you didn't, trade your 1975 Rod Carew, your only one, for four Atlanta Braves cards. But I did know kids who would do that. I knew a guy. I grew up with a kid who was obsessed with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he changed collecting in our neighborhood. He was the first guy we ever met. Our trades when we were kids were one card for one card, or sometimes like two or three cards for one card. This was the type of kid, the George Steinbrenner, I guess. He would show up and say, "I'll give you 10 cards for that Willie Stargell card." And you were like, "Oh my God, he's offering me 10 cards." But back then, we were really more concerned just how many cards we had. And I know somewhere around 1979, 1980, I had an inventory of a little bit more than $3,000, than 3,000 cards. And I considered, a buddy of mine, I think, had 4,000. And that's how we judged our collections. We didn't judge about what players you had, what the quality of the players you had. We just judged how many cards do you have. Now, I kept my inventory. There were no computer, or there were computers, but there was no such thing as a laptop computer in my day. Back then, I would get a notebook. I'd get my 8x11 notebook paper, and I would write out all my inventory. I wish I still had a copy of it. It was the only copy I had also. There were no photocopiers back then. So I would write it on a piece of paper, and I would say, 1971, have 100 cards. Need 620 cards. And I would do that for every year. And like I said, I think I had 3,000 cards. And we would try our best to get as many cards as we can. Now, today, things have changed. I'm a grown man. I unfortunately or fortunately have more money. And I do buy graded cards. I buy ungraded cards. And yes, there are a lot of times now when I look at a card, take a point. Now, let's just use the 1965 Topps Willie Mays as an example. I wanted a PSA 5. Some of you might want a PSA 8. Some of you are happy with just a PSA 1 or 2. But I have found out that the older I get, yes, I do look at quality. Now, in regards to quality too, I build a lot of sets. You guys know that. I don't like beater sets. That's just my opinion. So I try to buy the nicest card I get. Do I have a bunch of near mint cards from 1963? No. But I have a lot of excellent, I would say I have a lot of excellent cards, excellent to mint. There's some VG to EX. There's no poor, there's no good. No. I do look at quality when it comes to building a set. If I build something like 1941 play ball, those are all graded, you know that. Yeah, I can only afford a Joe DiMaggio and a PSA 1. I got lucky and found a Ted Williams and a PSA 3. The rest are like 3s, 4s, and 5s, but I can't afford something like a PSA 8. So I do look at quality. But then I revert back to quantity, and the reason I'm having this conversation with you guys is one of the cards I'm going to show you today is card number 23,000 in my collection. Yeah, I do keep stats still, but now I have a fancy Excel spreadsheet with several tabs, and one day I'll have to share it with you guys. But I look at, I have on one tab, and I'm actually staring right at it right now. My PSA cards are on one tab. My 41 play ball tab is a separate tab. All my sets are on another tab. Then all my collection are on another tab. Another tab is my Dodger collection. And then I have notes all over the place. And the reason I bring up 23,000 cards is as a 8-year-old or even a 14-year-old boy, 23,000 cards was a lot. And I still think it's a lot. Some of you right now are watching and going, ha! He's only got 23,000 cards. I have 400,000 cards. And I hear that, and I hear you, and all power to you. I am not interested in having 400,000 cards. I'm not even interested in having 100,000 cards. If I had every Topps card from 1951 through present day, it's roughly between 90 and 100,000 cards. And I'm talking base cards. I am not talking about all these modern things that I know nothing about, like parallel and chrome and rainbows. I don't know a thing about them. One of ones, those type of things. I just don't know. I do have some cards. I consider, for me, vintage. I consider it really for Topps, because that's what I collected as a kid. I wasn't collecting Bowman. So I was from 1951 to 1980, I only collected Topps. Do you realize to this day, if I wanted to get every Topps card from 1951 to 1980, there are roughly, and I'm not counting variations here, there are roughly 16,931 cards during those years. I have roughly 11,700 cards. So even if I wanted every baseball card that I wanted from the golden era of Topps, I'm still about 5,000 cards short. So about 5,000 cards short. If I wanted Bowman, there's roughly 1,884 Bowman cards from 1948 to 1955. I have 360, roughly 19%. Will I buy more Bowmans? Some. Maybe that percentage will go up to 25% someday. In regards to Topps, someday I would like to say I have 75% of the Topps cards from 1951 to 1980. Don't know if it'll happen. Even if you added in the 39 to 41 play ball, 33, 34, 35, and 38 Gowdy. Okay, throw in 41 Gowdy too. You want to get a little bit pickier and throw in batter up in there? Okay, well, you might be looking at roughly 21,000 cards. That's all I need, or that's all I want, I should say. That's not what I need. That's all I want. So when I hear someone say, I have 300,000 cards, I have 400,000 cards, you must be sitting on a lot of 87 Donruss Ryan Sandberg cards. And that's okay. It's just not for me. But in my collecting world, I have gone from quality to I've gone from quantity to quality, but I'm also still quality/quantity. So it's both ways. So in my world, I am a qual and I am a quan. I learned that in grad school. But I would say that it's important for me to have the cards that I want in the best condition I can afford, that I can make it. So I just wanted to share that with you, as there are you hear a lot of people talk about quality and quantity. It depends. If you like the card, buy it. That's what I always say. If you don't like it, if you don't like the quantity, I looked at two cards today: Whitey Ford, Bob Gibson, 1961 Topps. Good price. Could not stand how off-centered they were. So I pass. You have to buy what's right for you. Am I coming home with a bunch of near mint cards? No, you see my cards. They're like excellent. Some are VGX, some are X mint. So that's what I do on quality. I try to buy the best that I can. But if you're okay just buying good cards, that's fine too. It's not for me, but it might be the way you collect, and that's great. Quantity-wise, like I said, if I ever make it, I highly doubt I'll ever have $25,000 or 25,000 cards. If I did, wow, I'd probably have every card that I really want. Seriously. So anyway, I've talked long enough. Let's turn the camera around. What I'm going to do today, Clayton Kershaw just struck out 3,000 batters. I'm going to show you some of his cards, and I'm going to show you some of my latest pickups. Yes, include 1961. I know I've been showing a lot of 1961 cards. I'm going to try to get off that kick. but I'm going to show you some more 1961s, along with a couple of other cards I picked up that are not from 1961. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera around, you guys, and I'll be right back. So last night I was watching the Dodgers versus the White Sox when one Clayton Edward Kershaw accomplished 3,000 strikeouts in his career. Now, to put that in perspective, the 3,000 strikeout club versus the 300 game winners club, there are 24 300 game winners. There are only 20 3,000 strikeouts. Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander are the other current active members, along with Kershaw now. Kershaw becomes the fourth left-hander to be on the list, along with CC Sabathia, Steve Carlton, and Randy Johnson. And he is only the third player, it's really four, but he's the third player to have all his strikeouts on one team. He joins Walter Johnson and Bob Gibson. John Smoltz has 3,000 strikeouts with the Atlanta Braves, but he also moved on for a couple of years, and I believe he played like with the Red Sox and the Cardinals. So he has more than 3,000 strikeouts, but they're not all with one team. So it was a pretty big deal last night at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers, for all their history and all their Hall of Famers, they don't have a player who's hit 500 home runs or 3,000 hits. Dodgers seem to focus, the Dodger history seems to focus a little bit more on pitching, which is why you hear the names of guys like Sandy Koufax or Don Sutton or Clayton Kershaw. And last night was a big deal. Dodger Stadium was sold out, and it was just a great event to witness on TV, as we've watched Kershaw now for, I believe, 17 or 18 seasons. And he has worn the Dodger uniform the entire time he's played. Just to also, as a Dodger fan, to put this in perspective, I've been watching the Dodgers since 1971. There are only two players I can name from the time that I watched that have played their entire career with the Dodgers. That was Bill Russell and Mike Scioscia. Not saying Mike Scioscia did sign, I believe, with the Texas Rangers. The Rangers or the Padres after the Dodgers let him go as a free agent, but he never played a game. For Brooklyn history, I remember Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, and Jim Gilliam also played all their games for the Dodgers. But this will be one of the first one I've seen. Kershaw's already indicated he's not going to any other team. He's going to finish his career with the Dodgers. So here I have three cards. The first one in the middle here is the 2008 Topps Update and Highlights card number 240. I think I bought this several years ago. I remember paying $30 for it and just going, oh my God, I thought it was a lot of money back then when I paid for it. I bought the Topps, the Dodger team set that year for like $8, and Kershaw was in that group too. So I have a graded card and an ungraded card. Now on the left are two other so-called rookie cards. On the left is the 2008 Topps Heritage card. I believe that was in the high number set. And that's the Topps News Rookie Stars of 2008. And on the right is another Topps Heritage card. This one, though, it's one of those subsets they created, or an insert set, whatever you want to call it. And those are the Rookie Performers. So those are my three earliest Clayton Kershaw cards. All right, my latest pickups. I'm going to start with 1961. Let's get those going. As I mentioned to you earlier, this is card number 23,000 in my collection. That's Warren Spahn. I paid $11, $12. It wasn't that much. You guys keep hearing me say this. I've been getting pretty lucky on this set and buying things kind of on the cheap. So there's Warren Spahn, card number 200, and card number 23,000 in my collection. Next up, a Dodger card that I already had, but as you know, I'm trying to keep my Dodger cards separate from my set cards. So I'm rebuying some of the Dodger cards, and in this case, I found Duke Snider, and I paid $14 for that one. Duke Snider. That would be a second to last card on the Dodgers. All right, and then this one just arrived. Love these subsets. Lou Gehrig, he's benched after, that's kind of harsh. Gehrig benched after 2,130 games. Come on, he said he didn't want to play that day. Benched sounds like Joe McCarthy sat him down because he wasn't playing well. And this is from the Baseball Thrills set, of which I still need 2 more cards. I need the Babe Ruth card and the Mickey Mantle card. Always comes down to the Yankees when it comes to these old vintage sets. Okay, here's another, this is like a $12 card. I made an offer on it. I think it was a $10 card. The price was $12. I said, can you give it to me for $10? And that is Harmon Killebrew on the newly formed Minnesota Twins. First year in Minnesota after a half a century playing as the Washington Senators. That's card number 80. Harmon Killebrew. Always good to get a Hall of Famer. And then the last card is a 1961 Topps Yogi Berra and a PSA 3. I paid $45 for this one. 45, but that's a good looking 3. The Yankee cards just look extra nice in 1961. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because they had like the most amazing year ever, but all the cards just look fantastic. So that's Yogi Berra. With the arrival of these cards, I am down to 19 cards to complete the 1961 set. I won 2 cards last night on eBay, and I'm trying to look at 2 or 3 other cards. I'll be honest, I've lost a few cards on the batter's box because I honestly thought they were going to have a 15% off sale for the 4th of July. Never happened. So I lost a Carl Yastrzemski and a Mickey Mantle MVP card and a Bill Mazeroski card in anticipation of a 15% sale. They didn't have it, and somebody already bought the cards. So that's okay because there'll be more cards. So my last 3 cards are non-1961 cards, and as you see in front of you is a 1964 Topps Friendly Foes featuring Hall of Famer Willie McCovey and Los Angeles Angels star Leon Wagner. And I bought this card because I am working on getting all the Los Angeles Angels cards from 1962 and 1964. And that way I'll have all the Los Angeles Angels cards from 1961 through 1965 before they moved to Anaheim. So I found this, I think I made a there was best offer on eBay for $3. So that was a nice pickup. Willie McCovey and Leon Wagner. This card I've had for several weeks, if not even a few months, and I just forgot to share it with you guys. And that is a 1954 Redman All-Star, Billy Cox, the All-Star Series, third baseman for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Doesn't get that much attention just because he played with a lot of Hall of Famers in that infield. And Billy Cox was a steady force for the Dodgers at third base for several years. And I'm hoping, I'm working on slowly, just trying to, get Dodger cards from some of these 50s and 60s subsets like Red Man and Dandy Potato Chips and Red Heart. And I've already been working on Morel Meats and Bell Brand from the 60s. So you might be seeing some of these other cards popping up. But here's a 1954 Red Man Billy Cox. And then the last card is a card that I have had on my watch list on eBay for at least 2 years. And didn't think I was going to buy one just because I've never gotten around to finding one that I liked or one that was completely outrageously priced. But then I found this 1935 Diamond Stars Lefty Grove completely out of the blue. It is a PSA 1. It's marked. Let me show you the back. There's a nice big B right there. So there was a B there. And I've struggled always when I found this card because it just seems like the yellow was always too bright or too murky looking. And I'll be honest, I found this PR or this PSA 1. I've been finding 1.5s and PSA 2s for like $500 or more. And I just thought, that's crazy. I'm not paying that. I'll be honest, I won this on eBay in an auction, $202. Couldn't pass up the price. It's a good looking card. At the end of the day, it's a card that I want in my collection, want to have, as I like the Diamond Star set. And someday I hope to find a Hank Greenberg. I think I have like roughly 15% of that set. I don't see myself working on it just because I don't have a clue what I would do with that set. When I say that, I mean, would I do it all graded? Which would be the hard thing to do, but probably the right thing to do, as opposed to having a mixture of graded and ungraded cards. So we'll see what I do. But anyway, that is a 1935 Diamond Stars Lefty Grove. That's my second Lefty Grove in my collection. The first being the 1933 Gowdy. So nice to have another Lefty Grove added to my collection. All right, you guys, if you stuck around long enough, this long, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Have a very wonderful holiday, a 4th of July weekend with your families, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. Take care.
It's a beautiful day for